BBC One with Peter Sissons at 9 o'clock.
The Conservative MP allegedly involved with a 17-year-old nightclub hostess is resisting pressure to step down. Piers Merchant denies the story in a national tabloid, but the Deputy Prime Minister calls the allegations an embarrassment. The prospect of a TV debate between John Major and Tony Blair nosedives as Labour put a stop to the negotiations. And 39 members of a Californian cult die in America's largest mass suicide this century. Good evening. Piers Merchant, the MP for Beckenham, has today added nothing to last night's straight denial of allegations in the Sun newspaper that he's been having an affair with a 17-year-old. But as Conservative leaders struggled to refocus their campaign after last week's setbacks over Sleaze, John Major said Mr Merchant would want to explain himself, and Michael Heseltine called the reports an embarrassment for the party at large. But the MP's constituency party appears to be backing him in his determination not to step down as its candidate. Our chief political correspondent, John Sargent, reports.
For most of the day, journalists waited in vain for a statement from Piers Merchant, who remained at his home in Beckenham in Kent. There was speculation that he would resign following allegations that he'd had an affair with a 17-year-old nightclub hostess, allegations he denied. Once again, a fairly obscure Tory backbencher had become famous for the wrong reasons. The Deputy Prime Minister didn't hide the Tories' unease.
For those of us responsible for the leadership of the Conservative election campaign, this is an embarrassment and a diversion from the main issues. The constitution of the Conservative Party is very clear that it's for local people to make decisions on these matters. I've no doubt that Piers Merchant and his family and his local association will consider their position today.
Constituency officials did offer their support.
We should be judging him on his political record. He's been an excellent MP, both in Parliament and the constituency. And I think people, if they're going to start judging people, they should judge him on that.
The Prime Minister made clear it was a matter for Piers Merchant and his constituency association. Mr Major was concerned that the Tory election agenda had been hijacked for the second week running. And the Defence Secretary, Michael Portillo, spoke of the possibility of a dangerous mood developing.
What I think would be really damaging to this country would be trial by media, the lynching mob, decisions and judgments made on incomplete evidence, people condemned who hadn't had the chance to speak up in their defence.
But aside from this new embarrassment for the Tories, it was the unresolved cases of Neil Hamilton and other Conservative MPs accused of improperly receiving financial favours which continued to dominate opposition reaction.
The weakness of John Major's leadership in this is now a key issue. His failure to control his party, his failure to take action against the MPs who asked questions for money, the broken promises generally. It is for John Major today to clear this matter up.
The Prime Minister has made it impossible for this election to get away from the question of unresolved suspicions that hang over members of Parliament. There is powerful evidence against those members of Parliament, but ultimately they have not had a chance to put their case. I deeply regret that. The responsibility for this lies now fair and square at the Prime Minister's door.
The Prime Minister firmly rejected the charge. He stuck to his position in support of Mr Hamilton and the others whose cases couldn't be completed before parliamentary business finished last week.
We have an old principle that people are innocent until proved guilty. And at the moment, the other members vigorously deny any guilt. And I think it is right for them, therefore, while that remains the situation, to continue and to stay.
Opposition MPs are making much of the fact that Mr Major and Mr Heseltine are not prepared to give automatic support to Piers Merchant, but they are sticking firmly by Neil Hamilton. It seems, though, that in both instances, it's being left up to the local constituency associations to work out what, if anything, should be done. John Sargent, BBC News, Westminster.
The allegations against Piers Merchant are the latest to have dogged the Conservative election campaign. The former Minister Tim Smith said yesterday that he wouldn't be standing for re-election following the Cash for Questions row. Our social affairs editor Neil Dickson looks at how revelations about the private life of just one backbench MP can overshadow the policy issues of the campaign.
On the face of it, a sordid set of allegations, some would say of little note to anyone other than his family. Piers Merchant, until now best known for his attempt to live on benefit for a week, has been propelled into the limelight by a tabloid press specialising in political scalps. The Sun newspaper even released a video of the 17-year-old at the centre of the alleged affair, apparently enjoying the limelight. The publicist Max Clifford, who says he was not behind this story but promises to be behind the next, claims MPs who play around are fair game.
If you're portraying yourself as one thing to the public and living a life which is totally different and contradicts that to the other, then yes, I think so. It's about hypocrisy, it's about double standards. It's about saying that you're all about family values, when in point of fact, the way you actually live your life is totally different.
The Conservatives, once masters of Fleet Street, find themselves victims of a press that once reserved its vitriol for Labour. The Guardian, though, which has been leading the so-called Cash for Questions campaign, is a long-standing critic. It sees this as a much more substantial issue.
Different people would take a different view on which was more important, cash for questions or sexual impropriety. I'm more concerned about cash for questions. A great deal of money involving the corrupting of parliamentary procedure was involved in that, but Conservative governments have been hit by back to basics sexual scandals for several years now, and they're understandably nervous of them.
And in some countries, sexual misdemeanours matter less. The fact that the late French President François Mitterrand had a mistress and an illegitimate daughter only became public knowledge towards the end of his life. A combination of tough privacy laws and Gallic indifference to marital infidelity kept it off the front pages. Even in America, where Anglo-Saxon mores prevail, Bill Clinton was damaged by sexual revelations, but not enough to prevent him being re-elected. And even here there is little consistency. Alan Clark, a self-confessed philanderer, was recently selected for one of the safest Tory seats. He reflects the confusion in many minds about whether sexual morality matters in public life. Alan Clark's openness undoubtedly has helped him, but some believe there should be more tolerance generally of lapses in morality.
I think now we've sort of really become too kind of exaggerated in our expectations of what people in public life should do. We're all sinners at the end of the day, and I think we have become intolerant of finding sin in public places.
For the Conservatives, these allegations could hardly have come at a worse time. But they raise as many questions about what the public expects from its politicians and from its press as they do about a hitherto relatively obscure Member of Parliament. Consistency in this area is often in short supply. Neil Dickson, BBC News, at Conservative Central Office.
The former Scottish Office Minister Alan Stewart, who stood down as an MP on Monday after allegations about his health and private life, has been taken to hospital suffering from a nervous breakdown. His condition is not yet known. A Conservative spokesman said the breakdown had been caused by the strain of recent events. Negotiations between the Conservatives and Labour over a proposed televised debate between the two party leaders have broken down. Each side blamed the other for the collapse of the talks. The Conservatives accused Labour of pulling the plug. Labour claimed the Tories had never intended to reach an agreement. Our political correspondent John Pienaar reports.
John Major out campaigning in traditional style at the Television and Film Museum in Bradford. But he's now further away than ever from a head-to-head meeting with Tony Blair in front of the cameras. The idea John Major once opposed before becoming a convert now looks to have been vetoed. Tony Blair's the front-runner in the campaign. Some say that's made him least likely to want to take any risks. But Labour's backroom team are spreading the word they've pulled out of the talks because the Tories were playing political games, using the debate to divert attention from unwelcome news.
I think that what this has meant is that they haven't been negotiating seriously or flexibly. They haven't been meeting the ideas of either the Liberal Democrats or ourselves, and we had reluctantly to conclude that they were never seriously going to reach a conclusion at all about having a debate.
The Tories were hoping television images of John Major looking relaxed and playing on his prime ministerial experience would play well with the voters. They doubt Mr Blair's challenge was genuine.
It's the Labour Party that has walked away from the table. And I cannot understand why they have done that if Mr. Blair's words were to be taken at their face value. I don't believe that the Labour Party wants this debate. They're not acting as if they want this debate. They certainly don't want to continue negotiations.
The prospect of the party leaders fighting it out on the small screen was an intriguing one. It would probably have been the highlight of the campaign. The Tories say they've done all they can to get a deal. They're perfectly happy to accept these proposals from the broadcasters. 2 debates with a limited role for Paddy Ashdown and cross-questioning by the party leaders. Labour says it was open to ideas but preferred a single debate, no cross-questioning and a more equal role for Paddy Ashdown. There's no doubting Paddy Ashdown's enthusiasm for a debate, given what he'd see as a fair chance to have his say. Tonight the Liberal Democrats are gloomy about breaking the deadlock and getting talks restarted. Like the broadcasters, they say they'd like to try again.
I think it'd be a very good thing if everybody takes a break over Easter, tempers have got very frayed, and that we come back again after a break, because the basic thing is that the public want this debate very much, and I think they've got the right to have one. I think it would actually be an enhancement of democracy.
For now, though, John Major and Tony Blair's formal appearances in the last session of Parliament look like bringing them as close together as they're going to get before they take the places the voters choose for them on May the 1st. John Pinar, BBC News.